and we're back. So, what's your plan?
Guess we're gonna go offer our services to. Should we split up? I think we should split up.
What are we splitting up for?
I mean,
Like,
yeah.
To go get hired.
Well, I mean, we have a particular client in mind. We don't need to split up.
Well,
But surely if we have
there's
like
just gonna
two
go and-
groups,
there are.
I think we should get more people, like more information than just from this one house.
Well,
That is fair.
yeah.
I
But
can
then
see-
again, it would look. Then again, you have to bear in mind these houses are competing against each other, so we probably can't offer the Amber Eagles services to more than one of them.
But it's just protection duty. I mean, it's not like we're fighting their battles for
Yeah,
them.
but as far as they're concerned, they need protection from the other houses. So if we're also helping the other houses, it looks suspicious.
Well, you say that, like, the nobles who have been threatened know exactly what. Well, they know who it is to a degree.
Yeah. Which means the Othells are the ones that haven't been hit, so they likely might not know. They're the more likely ones to not know. Therefore, offering our services to working for other houses is likely to dissuade them.
However, I think
Besides, it looks better if we can all show up and be like, "We are the guards you'll be getting."
Well, that's the thing. What I was thinking, I was wondering, should we just show up with like 2 people and it'll be like we have X amount of people available? Like, how many would you? How many?
That's probably a better idea.
I suppose.
How
actually
many
that's a
can
good
we
point.
offer?
Like, send a delegation.
Instead of sending everyone, I feel like coming in with everyone you have is a little desperate.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's like, here, examine these beautiful specimens. Would you
Yeah,
want
no,
any
that's-
of these to work for you?
That's a
Wow.
fair point, actually. Fancy looking.
But Arya
Most
and
official
I,
looking. I
at
dress well.
least, would be kind of recognized by the people at
And-
House Othell.
Oh,
And yeah. So one of you should definitely go, or potentially just send both of you.
So
I mean,
I
we
feel
can
like-
send like Grim and Kelariis maybe,
yeah, I think sending 2 people would be good. I think.
Also,
because Kelariis is like definitely
I
the
don't know.
most intimidating of our fighters.
can I just point out though,
Flexes.
Grim has not had excellent history with going and talking to people.
Yeah, but he's still the leader, unfortunately. So.
And also,
Unfortunately, damn.
would you not argue that if the leader is going and offering that job straight away, that might
That's
also
what
come across
leaders
as desperate?
do.
Because surely the leader's
No.
got better things to be doing.
No,
You
that's
have
the
people
leader,
negotiate
that's the
contracts
leader's
for
whole
him.
job.
Well,
No,
like,
that's like you believe it's important enough to be like, hey, I am coming
Yeah.
to you to offer this thing specifically.
I suppose that too.
And like, yeah, like leaders are supposed to broker deals. Like, if
Well,
it's a bit weird,
I guess we're settled on Grim and Kelariis then.
I think they'll be fine. I mean, Kelariis can just
Flex.
interject if Grim starts going
Yeah.
off the rails.
I was like,
Yeah.
I can just flex to look like, like I can look. I'm capable. It's fine.
No, yeah,
Uh.
don't just start flexing, but
I mean, I
do
could.
sort of take over if Grim starts running his mouth.
can I just point out that Grim has done fine talking. Like, just look at our last
Uh.
conversation. Nobody
No.
got shot. We got what we needed.
We did get aimed at though, and
No, but
threatened back.
It was fine.
It was really not fine.
Just because that situation was apparently fine doesn't mean the next one will be fine.
So, like,
Look, okay, it'll be.
So-
It will be fine.
So, who's going where?
Oh, the only thing I will do is ask, Arya, do you want to pop by the Westbrook shop? See if there's anything we might be able to use?
I guess so.
Like I would send Elizabeth, but as well, but you know, I don't
I mean-
think you wanted to bring her along.
I mean, she'd still go with.
Yeah, but well, that's up to you. You can figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, I don't care either way.
I mean, I want to feel like I'm doing something.
So where are you going, sorry?
Back to the shop, to see, because he said he had some.
Oh,
stuff
to
sell.
Nordstrom's. Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
It's
no.
not really a shop. It's like a cart.
Well, whatever.
Stall.
Stall cart thing.
You know,
Yeah.
that place.
Yeah. I guess yeah. Me and Kelariis go to the noble, and the rest can go shopping.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Who's stopping by Nordstrom's store?
I guess me and Elizabeth. Elizabeth wants to
Okay.
come along.
Cool.
We probably wouldn't want to keep Fasera alone in the tavern.
No, I was going to ask if she'd rather come, or well, I guess can she come with the Grim and I, or would she rather go with like to the market?
She, given the choice, she sort of thinks for a moment and says, I think it might be best if I came with you as a representative. I think we'd look good as a show of force, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I guess 3 is
Fair.
acceptable.
I mean, Grim, you'll be flanked by 2 Dragonborn. How much more respectable can we look?
Yeah. Also, in
Grim,
Grim's head,
little
just
bitty
flanked
Grim.
by 2 dragonborn sounds
I
like
know.
the ideal.
A little itty bitty gnome and 2
Who
huge
once
dragons.
looked up to the mighty dragonborn and now has 2. And
I
maybe
like how
one
I
day more.
have 2 dragonborn. I own I own
No,
2
no.
dragonborn.
They're your employees.
No,
You have
that-
2 dragonborn employees.
That's true.
They're your mercenaries.
Okay. So, Arya and Elizabeth, you approach this rickety cart, closely watched over by Mr. Brick. Who sort of like nods at you as you approach. And Nordstrom says, "Ah, I was hoping you'd drop by."
Yeah, we'd like to have a look at your wares. See if there's anything that could be interesting.
Certainly, I've got all the standard fare, simple weapons, tools to defend yourselves, but I expect you're interested in the more innovative creations.
Yeah, we would be more interested in that.
I have one thing in particular I think your gnome friend might be particularly interested in. One moment. Mr. Brick, would you retrieve the long box? Thank you. Mr. Brick reaches into the back of this cart and pulls out like a long, probably in the region of like 8 to 9 inches long. Pops a catch open of it and like hands it to Nordstrom, who opens it and produces a like a long metal rod from it. It says, "This one I think might interest your friend in particular. You're in your role as mercenaries, I expect you have need of particular skills in your endeavours. This one I think is somewhat multi-purpose. I'd demonstrate, but the components are somewhat expensive, and I wouldn't want to go wasting the merchandise on a demonstration. But suffice it to say, this is an item of gnomish design. And he really reaches below his thing and pulls out like a handful of small vials. One of which he slips into the barrel and sort of like or slips into like the the hollow end of this rod and like clicks until it locks into seems to lock into place. And he says, "Arm it with one of these vials, and then all you need do is twist vigorously on the bottom here, and all of a sudden you've got your very own light show projected at incredible distance, anywhere up to 10 to 15 feet in whichever direction you choose to point it."
I don't really see how that's useful.
I assume he doesn't mean light show as in, pretty colours.
Precisely speaking. If any of you are alchemically inclined, the compounds include phosphorus and sulfur. Essentially, this thing will create a large burning light for anywhere up to an hour, and project for quite a considerable distance.
I still don't. Maybe it's just me, but I still don't know how that'd be
I mean,
super useful.
My brain can't decide if he is being literal or if he's like basically holding a tiny flamethrower. I don't know. He's so vague.
More flare gun than flamethrower.
Yeah, see, I don't really think that'd be very useful.
I mean,
How
maybe
much are
not
you
for our
asking
current.
for it?
Okay, so he's basically got a flare.
Yeah.
Well, a flare gun and a number of flares.
How much are you asking for it?
For something of this complexity and design, as a friends and family discount, I'd be willing to let the whole thing go, cartridges included, for 12 gold.
It's not as bad as I was expecting, but I don't know. Do you think it'd be useful?
I mean, if you need to put on a show to ask for help, I suppose it's useful. But if at the moment we want to be a bit more subtle, then I don't know about it being terribly useful in our current predicament.
Yeah, can't say I. Maybe we'll ask Grim later when he's around, and
Keep it
if
under
he's still
consideration.
interested. Yeah, if he's still interested, we can come back.
That's...
Elizabeth will pull out a piece of paper and start making notes.
If he is interested, tell him to stop by.
Yeah, we'll do that. I'm struggling to find a use for it right now, but
I mean, if he
maybe
wants to
Grim
spend, if he wants to spend his money on it, then
is that all the stuff?
That's all that I have at the moment that's notable. I have my my other wares for other operations. If you ever find yourself in need of such things. You know he sells like thieves' tools and other things that might be used for like lock picking or safe cracking or whatever. I've got a couple of things in, some vials of acid, a number of small scrolls.
scrolls of what?
Things that are useful for evading magical traps, scrolls that detect magic, scrolls that dispel magic.
You have piqued my interest with that first one.
Well, how peaked.
Enough to ask if I can have a look.
He gestures to you to come round the other side of the cart.
Guess I do.
Okay. He uncorks like a small leather tube and hands you a scroll and says, I think you'll find it all in order.
Yeah, can I look at this presumably spell scroll?
Yeah, you unfurl it. It is a spell scroll of Detect Magic.
Ah, fair enough. May I have you some of your other scrolls?
Yeah, he, for sake of brevity, he hands you through a collection of scrolls. Let me look at your spell list and see if there's anything that he has that you don't have.
Yeah, because I've got Detect Magic.
Um,
And it's a ritual, so I don't even... Yeah. It's not like using a scroll would save a spell slot.
I believe using a scroll does save a spell slot.
Not if I'm ritual casting.
Oh, yeah, yeah, but it, you could cast it... by reading the scroll, you could cast it as an action without having to spend 10 minutes.
Yeah, I could.
Let me look at what he has. He has one spell that you do not have. He has the second level transmutation knock. Which is a interesting one because it has only a verbal component, and you basically choose an object you can see within range, be it a door, box, chest, set of manacles, padlock, or other object that contains a mundane or magical means that prevents access, and you basically unlock it.
Yeah.
The only downside is it makes a lot of noise.
Yes, an audible knock from up to 300 feet away. It's not sneaky.
Yeah.
It's very good.
Based on my previous experience, how much do I know a second level spell scroll to normally cost? I don't think they're cheap.
They're not cheap, no. Let me look it up in this handy PDF that I have. Spell scroll, second level, 120. No, yeah, 120 gold.
Yeah, I thought it was that. I guess once again, Elizabeth like writes it down, and she'll just say, "Well, I'd like to discuss it with my companions before we made an investment on that. But if you could keep hold of it, I'd appreciate it."
Well, I can't guarantee that I'll keep a hold of it. I have many customers, but you're welcome to come back. Thinking about it, I don't know how you are on purchasing particular magical items, but an item has come into my possession that someone of a magical disposition might be interested in purchasing.
I can't say I'm not interested.
Well, sort of like takes a look around, takes in and says, Mr. Brick, keep an eye out for the law, would you? And he handles a couple of catches on the underside of his wagon, and a small section of the wagon drops out. And from inside, he produces Basically, what looks like a fingerless glove, except it has basically like where the bones of your hand would run down your like into your hand. It has a number of like brass rods on the external side of the glove, making like 5 rods total. And he says, "This one I came across after a particular client of mine had to make a swift exit from town. From what I understand from speaking to my sources, it's particularly potent in terms of combat."
Can I tell more about it from looking at it?
Not without using spells.
Yeah, feared as much. I guess Elizabeth probably spends quite a while thinking and then says, "And I suppose what price are we thinking for that?"
He says, "This one is a little pricey. It's considering its use and its value, I'd estimate somewhere in the region of 1,500.
Yeah, definitely going to have to get back to you on that one.
That's quite alright. I don't think I'll be moving this one anytime soon."
Not with that price tag. Not as a, nothing against you as a salesman, but just, it's out of the price range of a lot of people, myself included.
You don't know some of my customers.
I'll take your word for it. But I'll keep things in consideration.
You do that.
And yeah, I guess you'll go back.
Okay. So.
I guess we're done here then, Arya?
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay.
That guy gives me the creeps.
Do you need to buy anything else?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Nope.
So, Grim and Kelariis, you arrive at Othell Manor. Kelariis, you've been here once before. You knock at the door. Let's put you back to the capital map. City map, rather. You knock at the door. There is a moment before it is answered by a fairly burly-looking fellow in leather armor. Sort of opens the door, regards the two of you, or the two Dragonborn, looks down to Grim, sort of says, "Who are you?"
Well, we heard that nobles around here were hiring extra protection, and considering we're mercenaries from the Amber Eagle, and we don't have too much to do right now. We thought we might as well see if we can get in on the action. In short, we're here to see if we can apply for a job or offer our services.
He looks at you, regards your two companions, and says, "Wait here. I'll have someone fetch someone who can deal with this."
We're like dressed in our armor. right?
Yes, I imagine so.
Yeah, no,
Presentable? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I would definitely.
He leans somewhere behind the doorframe and says, "Rosha, check these good people." And emerging from behind the doorframe, a half-elf woman in like a basically like I don't know how best to describe it. Basically like a thick jerkin with a couple of like leather plates sewn into it. Steps out from around the corner and sort of says, "Right, I see. I'm going to cast a spell on you, if that's okay."
Go ahead.
Sure.
Actually, no. She says, "I'm going to cast a spell," because she's not casting it on you. But, and yeah, she spends a moment just casting a spell, and she regards like the three of you for a second and says, turns to the companion and says, "Two of them are carrying magic weapons. Third's nothing. I think we're all right." He sort of says, "Wait here." And yeah, a few moments pass until a man in a waistcoat arrives at the stairs, at the bottom of the stairs, and comes out to the door to you, and sort of says, "So I hear you're looking for employment."
Yes.
Did I hear correctly that you're from the Amber Eagle?
Yes. You may have heard that we recovered the princess in
Helm's Blessing.
yeah, Helm's Blessing. However, currently we are we're just looking for something to pass the time, and we heard you might be in need of some assistance.
To be quite honest with you, I'm surprised a reputable mercenary company is door-to-door retailing, but your arrival has come at an opportune time. I assume you've already checked these good folk? Of course. Please, step inside for a moment.
Of course.
Sort of are led inside. He leads you to like the small side room that's it's basically like a small small like green room full of plants that you'd been to previously. And he sort of invites you to sit and says, "So as it is, Lady Othell is hiring more security. In fact, she's looking most specifically for personal bodyguards."
Well, that shouldn't be too hard. I have up to 5 people available.
5.
Yes. The some others are currently
It's
carousing.
like business in town.
And I will admit I'm familiar with your group, but I do not know much about your abilities. What exactly can you bring to the table?
Well, we have a variety of things available. Personally, I mainly, well, capable combatant and have a knack for making others shine. Then we have some some just brute force with even with the occasional touch of the divine, if necessary. We have a spellcaster who can help out in a variety of ways. Most notably, they're aware of they're capable of the alarm spell in order to secure areas. And finally, we have a tracker and a bit of a sneaky one if it's necessary. She's very well at staying hidden.
I see. Well, it certainly sounds like you fit the bill.
May we inquire a bit more about the job itself? You mentioned personal bodyguard.
Yes. Lady Othell has a number of House of Business guards. However, there are a number of important functions that the lady of such a grand house must attend. She's looking for individuals to keep an eye on her and ensure that she arrives at her destination, returns safely, and is well protected whilst she is at her destination. I presume you are capable of such a...
Oh yes, we've done such things before.
Good. Well, a reputable company such as yourselves should fit the bill. Lady Othell is offering a wage of 2 gold per day to participants, if that is acceptable.
Well, that is fine. However, in case of if the worst comes to worst, we usually charge a little extra, but we won't make a big deal out of it. We usually, in case of in case of contacts, shall we say, just in order to replenish our supplies, we usually charge 5 gold for the group. So, but that is only if we get attacked.
Danger pay can be arranged.
However, I will admit we will accept the 2 gold a day for now. We are like each. There's it's a decent.
I see. So, well, if you are willing and that is acceptable, there is only one more stage. If you would accompany me.
Of course.
Stands up, leads you into a side room, and beckons for the half-elf woman to follow. And he sort of says, please remain still whilst this happens. the half-elf woman begins casting a spell again, and you watch as like an aura like pulses out from the center of the room, filling the room. So this spell has a saving throw, but it's up to you whether you want to make the saving throw or ignore it.
I think I know what it is, but I'll let
Does
it.
it seem like a familiar spell? In any way?
I will let you Arcana check.
Okay.
I think I'll just let it slide.
Like, I think I know what it is, but... Oh. Well, I created.
Okay.
Nope. I mean...
Um.
honestly, considering the situation, I think I'll probably just... whatever.
Okay. So you're just letting it happen.
Yeah, I was just curious if it was something that...
Okay.
Nice, but...
Being charmed.
So, the man in the waistcoat says, so, in order to pledge yourselves to House Othell, require first a signed admission. You must... how does he put this? Do you have any other ties or commitments to any other houses here within the city? And because you chose to fail it, you must answer truthfully.
You do not have any connection to any of the other nobles or relevant parties.
He looks to the other two.
No connections.
So he sort of says, I've never been here before or met any of the houses. He seems fairly satisfied with that. He says, have you been sent here knowingly under any pretext to cause harm or disruption to the house?
No.
No, we have not.
Nope. Oh, Roll20 is having a moment.
Yeah.
Yes.
It kicked all of us.
Yeah.
Well, the only people I can see at the bottom of my screen at the moment are me and Minnie.
Anyway, so yeah, the man in the waistcoat again seems satisfied with this response. He says, I guess. Oh yeah, so I guess his third and final question is, do any of you have an outstanding criminal record?
Nope.
No? Not that like, this is me genuinely, I don't think I do.
I don't believe you do, no.
I don't think any of us.
Well, Tallithsyr says, I was once arrested for public disorder.
That was a special situation, and that was really...
Also, that was resolved.
Yes.
Hmm.
And, it was ruled in your favor.
Very well. Well, from henceforth, you are under contract with House Othell. Will you require lodgings whilst you're here, or do you have your own?
We have our own, our own lodging.
I see. Well, you will be expected to report here at sunrise each morning, and you will leave here 2 hours after sunset. You will be paid, accommodated for your time. You will be fed.
Sounds excellent.
As for today, it would be appreciated if you would gather the rest of your group and
Of course.
attend Lady
assume-
Othell before. Attend Lady Othell before 1 hour after lunch, or 1 hour after midday.
Today.
Today,
I
Lady Othell
assume-
has an appointment, and I think it would be a good test of your skills.
I assume you would like to, use your magic on the, or we'll check the others as well, or will this suffice?
I believe this will be sufficient.
Very well. And we will be here at at least just after. We'll probably be here at noon just to be safe.
That would be advisable.
Get a better feel of the surroundings.
Okay. So, you go out to town centre, meet up with your party.
Yes. So, what time is it when we meet up?
Considering you were up at sunrise, it's probably you probably got like 2 hours or so before you need to be back.
Well, so did you find anything of use?
We didn't purchase anything, but he did have a few things we thought were noteworthy. He showed me some sort of magic artifact that was absurdly expensive, not affordable at the moment. He also had a spell scroll which potentially I could make use of, just allow me to open locked chests and doors, though not stealthily. And he also had a strange gnomish thing. It like would burn quite brightly for a really long distance. I don't know. It seemed weird.
Interesting. The artifact you mentioned. What did it do?
I wouldn't have been able to find out unless I was there for 11 minutes, and I don't think he would have appreciated me sitting there for 11 minutes casting a spell on it. He simply mentioned it had some sort of combat application.
Do you
But
want to take a look at it, Grim?
Even though I might have a clue. Well, how expensive was it? Because if we can't afford it, then it doesn't.
1,500 gold.
Yeah, well, we would have to pull together most of our gold.
Yeah, I can't imagine whatever it is worth doing that right now.
Well, perhaps after payday.
Exactly.
However, the scroll you mentioned, that might be well, like we got like some useful stuff out of the other one, like the message.
But those were paid for. Not only do we have to buy that scroll, and it's, spell scrolls are not cheap. In order for me to be able to use it more than the once, I would then have to spend much more money and a lot of time to copy it into my spellbook.
It may be worth looking into it as an investment, but I see your point.
My point is, it's not the kind of thing you want to pick up when you're window shopping. It's the kind of thing you want to go back to the people who actually have the money and say, do you think this is worth it?
So, do you remember what the name of the scroll was?
Knock.
Okay. Well, I will go have a look at the weird thingy.
The only thing we could establish as a potential use was maybe if you wanted to alert someone to your presence, like if you needed help for whatever reason.
Well, I can think of some more uses, but I would need to know a little more about the item.
You're welcome to go back.
Like I assume it isn't too far away.
No, it's not that far away.
Yeah, so
Cool.
I'll quickly pop over.
Cool. So for the sake of
I was gonna ask if the others were joining or not.
I mean, now that we've got a
Otherwise,
job,
think
now
I
that we've
just-
got the job, and we've negated those contract hours, if there's any time that we're not really going to be able to do research other than right now, if I am going to go and do that.
So that would be a good idea.
So Elizabeth would like to look that up, and people are
Okay.
welcome to join, but she's not expecting anyone to.
Cool. Give me an investigation check, because you don't have that much time, and I want to see what you can turn up.
Yeah. Here we go.
So, Grim, for the sake of brevity, you go back to Nordstrom. Nordstrom introduces you to the item. I expect you can make me an investigation check with advantage.
Oh yeah, sure. Investigation.
Cool. So yeah, basically the practical applications of this thing is basically the chemical compounds in this will essentially once a spark is added to them, which presumably this rod creates a spark, it'll essentially combust incredibly quickly. The shaping of the funneling of this will basically propel it anywhere from probably in the region of 15 to 20 feet in the air. And once it's done so, this thing will essentially burn its payload and disperse it into the air. If you were to, for example, fire this straight up into the air, this thing would probably shed light for about 120 feet.
It would kind of prevent night fighting, potentially.
I mean, that is what fires are used for.
Yeah, it would essentially illuminate. You could fire it 20 feet in a direction, and it would illuminate 120 feet of space.
How long would something like that last? Give or take?
It would burn for about give or take about an hour.
Oh, okay. I was thinking minutes, but no, hour.
No, it'll burn for about an hour.
Okay, no, that's...
On the slightly more unwieldy side, you could point this at someone, and it would probably burn them pretty badly if you did so. Yeah, but it's very much not designed for that, and there would be definitely hazards of trying to use it in close quarters.
Oh, I can definitely see a lot of uses for this.
It's only 12 gold. You can pay for it out of your own pocket.
The last question, the only determining factor really is how many charges?
Nordstrom has 4 vials.
Yep.
Are you proficient in? I think it's because you're proficient in tinkerer's tools, but not in alchemy stuff.
No alchemy.
Okay, so the capsules you could definitely make. The compound within it, you'd need a skilled alchemist. V could probably make them for you.
Well, that is something. Well, at least if I think if it can be replicated, then at least it's not like a 4 shots and throw it away.
Yeah, if you were to bring one of the cartridges back, V would almost certainly be able to replicate it. Without a cartridge, it would be harder, but with a cartridge she would definitely be able to do it.
So in other
then
words,
I
we
would-
have 3 uses within this arc.
Yes. Well, I'm definitely gonna buy it. However, there's one thing I'm gonna ask him. So I heard you had a Nox scroll.
I did, yes.
Wait, you know what it? Wait, do I know what it does?
I assume Elizabeth explained it to you.
I mean, yeah, I did literally explain it.
Oh, I wasn't sure if I was like imagining that. Or
Yeah.
not.
No, I literally explained it.
Okay.
I said a scroll that does this.
Because I think I'll pick that up together with the little what did he call it?
He didn't
Stick.
call it anything.
Yeah. But it's basically a
The
flare gun.
light stick.
The Gnomish flare gun.
But like flares are not a thing, so I'm gonna call it.
They
the
are
light
now.
stick.
It's a light stick. I'm sorry, that makes me think of a fucking glow stick. Like you snap it and it slightly glows and you wave it around at concerts.
Well, you could definitely do all of those things with this.
I don't think I'd want to like set one of those off at a concert.
So I will buy the scroll and the other thing and the light stick. So that would be
Yeah.
132.
Yes, I believe so.
Unless you want to haggle.
Yeah, Nordstrom produces the items and says, well,
Well, I'm like I kind of low in gold coins. Could you do 130 gold?
make me a persuasion check.
I'll just hold. I'll hold 13 platinum in my hand. Eh.
Nordstrom takes the 13 platinum and says, consider it a favour owed.
Ooh, that's dangerous.
Yes, it is. That's very dangerous.
I'll take it.
Pleasure doing business with you.
So just because it's a fantasy world doesn't mean people don't offer change.
No, but it's a good, it was a good excuse to not spend this 2 extra gold.
Yeah, but now you
Like
said
how-
you owe him a favor, which could be worse.
Well, a 2 gold favor is not much.
That's a day's work.
I guess that's also
Well, a day's work as a hired mercenary, which is not
Yeah,
cheap.
that's literally our daily pay.
That's fun.
Yeah. We'll probably ask for some intel. It's fine. I can always just refuse if it's too extreme.
I don't think he'd like that very much.
No, but he doesn't have a choice.
Anyway, so Elizabeth, looking through, you go to the town hall and you shuffle through records at a lightning pace. So the things you learn about the Othells, the Othells, as you learned previously, famously made their money through mining and smelting. Over the last couple of years, with the silver mines drying up and the a lot of the metalworking and production being moved away from the city to outlying towns and things, the Othells have taken a little bit of a hit in recent years in terms of their average prosperity. But Lady Othell has found interesting ways of making that back. Essentially, she's made up the deficit by becoming a avid art collector and has collected a lot of pieces and then sold off said collections for more than what she bought them for. To the point where the Othells are starting to be well known for various artistic collectors' pieces, rare relics, all sorts of things. as for I guess prior history on the Othels, being from starting out from sort of a mining and smelting background, they had a rather interesting legal case with some dwarvish merchants over the sale of a particular batch of refined ore that was sold and sent out to a dwarvish smelter, where the smelter in question presented a legal case against House Othell for essentially providing what's known as patch iron, which is basically iron with a high degree of impurities, which was because the original batch had been purchased to make steel. The batch in question was sufficiently lacking in terms of actual iron, and the Dwarvish smelter attempted to take the Othels to court over this. The court ruled incredibly surprisingly in favour of the Othels, and the dwarves were sent packing. Surprisingly, that seems to have been a particularly notable case because there's no way they should have won that. Like, the evidence against them was piled high, but they got out of it anyway. But that's the only slightly insidious thing you can find on your new employer.
How long ago was that?
A couple of years.
Yeah, that's not too bad then. I mean, I'm guessing that's still under our current matriarch, or was there a different head of the house at that time?
No, it's same matriarch, though significantly younger.
Yeah.
Because Lady Othell now is about probably approaching 60.
Okay, fair enough. I will share this information when
You
I'm finished.
regroup at Othell Manor.
Yeah. Give them a quick pep talk on the walk there.
Okay. Anyone have any comments?
Well,
Sounds like a pretty standard use of throwing your money and influence around.
yeah.
Honestly, they're fairly clean as far as nobles are concerned. If that's the only thing I could find.
I mean, that's the only thing on official records.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was gonna say
Yeah.
there might be stuff elsewhere.
Like, if they can sway a judge, they can probably keep something public record. But yeah,
Well, that's what we had to find out, I suppose.
I was thinking, you have the arcane ward, right? The thing you can use to protect people. That what is it about?
I have arcane lock.
Oh no, and I mean not the spell.
The
I meant
class feature.
Oh,
the-
the class feature. Yes.
The shield.
Yes, the shield.
I think you can just use that whenever, right?
Provided I have at some point kept it replenished with abjuration spells
How long does that last?
until my next long rest. So if I cast
Oh.
mage armor on myself, I get 27 points into the shield, which
Oh,
the shield then lasts till my next long rest. And if I want to replenish it, I have to cast more abjuration spells, which are replenished by double the spell's level.
And you could. So if anything were to happen in this following meeting, you
If
could.
she were to be attacked, I could extend that ward to her, provided I was within 30 feet.
Oh, I guess we'll just keep you as in 30 feet. So for now, I just want to make sure that we don't fail our first job.
Of course.
It would be bad for several reasons.
Exactly.
Yes. Yeah, your arcane ward will more than triple the hit points of a average commoner, so...
Yeah. Just as it adds on about 30% extra to my own hit points. Like if you add it to my own hit points, I literally become a wizard with 117 health.
Yep.
Damn.
So,
And still 15 armor class.
you head in, you get suited up, and eventually at some point emerging down the stairs is Lady Othell. Wearing a practical but very elegant looking fur-lined robe over a dress. She turns and greets you all and says, I thought the name Amber Eagle was familiar, but now I remember. I've met some of you before, have I not?
Yes.
we have.
Met me and Kelariis.
At the exhibition.
Indeed.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I've heard good things about you. I don't expect anything will go untoward on this trip, but if I didn't think there wasn't any danger, then I wouldn't be paying you. So, with that in mind, let us go.
Yes.
Okay. So, you all jump in a carriage with Lady Othell and are transported a short distance across town, disembark at a small cafe, still in the noble, sort of the noble quarter.
It's a fancy cafe.
Yeah, it's a very upper class establishment. She is let in by a maitre d', showed to a specific table where another well-dressed individual is waiting, and Lady Othell turns to the rest of you and says, "You are free to disperse. I would appreciate if you would remain close and, if possible, visible."
Well, we'll try it. But just to make sure enough, like you stay safe. Try and not leave like a 30-foot radius from Elizabeth, and you should. Well, they should not be able to do much if the worst comes to worst.
An oddly specific request, but I'll do my best.
Well, we'll stay within range.
She turns to you, Elizabeth, and says, "You will accompany me then."
Of course, my lady.
And yeah, she steps into the booth, introduces exchanges pleasantries with the person in there. And yeah, they have an exchange, and you guys stand guard.
Yeah. I'd just like to say I cast Mage Armor on myself while we were in the carriage,
Okay,
just so
Cool.
I have the ward.
you have the ward.
And yeah, I'll stand somewhere like. I guess I was supposed to stand somewhere out of the way, but still like within the so it's basically just shows he's not in the way that people want to walk past, but still there.
Yep. Okay. Where do the rest of you position yourselves?
I guess there's no position of height. Fortunate.
No, there is no second floor.
I guess Kelariis and I will pick the door.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you just stand by the door.
I guess I'll make sure that there's no other unexpected entrance.
Okay, so you go find a back door and stand by it. There is a sort of an entryway into the place from the serving staff. Thalithsyr looks to you, Grim, and sort of is like, so why should I stand?
I think that we should probably stay in teams of 2.
I'll stick with you then.
Although, if you could, wait, are there any windows that we can see?
Apart from the large glass ones taking up the entire front of the building, no.
Okay, but the front ones are fine. I was just making sure, on the side, or if there was any. Well, just be sure to keep an eye out. Considering you're somewhat taller than me, if you can focus on the, things slightly further away, that would be much appreciated.
Roger that, boss. Okay, so
You got it, boss.
you guys stand guard. About 40 minutes pass, and nothing particularly noticeable happens. Members of staff come and go, serving tea and cake to the 2 individuals. There are some individuals in the establishment already, when you enter, who finish up their tea and leave. But about 40 minutes in, the front door next to you, Arya and Kelariis, opens as a brown, like a sort of mid-length brown-haired woman walks in. Sort of clocks the 2 of you standing either side of the door and says, excuse me, is this open?
Yeah. We're just standing guard. It's okay. Come in.
Okay then. Sort of steps inside, walks up to the maitre d', engages the maitre d' in conversation, gets a table, sits down, starts having tea.
I guess we do look.
It has slightly occurred to me out of character that having 2 armed guards standing right next to the door
Yeah.
is maybe a bit much.
It's look. People can come in and go as they please. They just know that if they cause trouble, they got us to deal with.
No lollygagging.
No lolly. Yeah.
A show of force can stop an planned attack. So
Enough to make a guard nervous. A man approaches with his weapon drawn.
Is there
Alright.
anything particularly noticeable about that about the person Lady Othell is meeting with, or just kind of someone?
Make me a perception check.
Hmm.
Okay. The person she's meeting with is a human man who, from the bits of conversation that you pick up across the room, seems to be a fellow collector of sorts. They seem to be not quite arguing, but having spirited debate about some particular artwork. You're not particularly well versed in art or artists, but they seem to be engaged in a hot debate about the value of a particular artist. If there's anything about him that's visually distinct, it's the clothes that he wears. Almost all of his clothes seem to have this they're all incredibly rich, deep purples with white thread detailing that goes into a really quite elaborate pattern as it reaches the bottom. But yes, other than his prominent dress sense. There's nothing of note about them.
If I know anything about the color purple, that's damn expensive. Or does that not apply in this world?
Less so in this world.
Okay. So it's still
what with-
expensive, but not quite as expensive.
What with the ability to magically manipulate colours.
Okay, fair.
But yes, purple is still seen as a very lavish colour. So yeah, probably another 15 to 20 minutes passes until Lady Othell beckons to you, Elizabeth.
I guess I'd walk over.
She sort of says, I think we're almost concluded here, so if you wouldn't mind. I'm ready to go.
Of course, my lady. I will notify the others.
Thank you. Okay, so you presumably signal to the others.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
So, Lady Othel concludes her conversation, stands up, prepares to leave. Yeah, just as you're about to file out of the doors, the brown-haired woman stands up and begins to walk towards you.
Like the whole group?
The whole group.
I mean,
I guess
I
I'll
guess-
step forward and kind of just be like, "Did you need something?"
Okay, you step in front of this woman, like stop her in her tracks, and she's like, "Oh, I just you know what? Never mind."
Alright
straight
then.
up intimidated her. Wow.
Oh, look,
I'm
I don't
sorry.
know what's happening. We have a job.
Yeah.
And I mean, was she like clearly walking towards us and not necessarily the exit?
Oh no, she was definitely walking towards the group.
Okay.
Um,
You needed something. Just kind of like open-ended, like leaving the end of it open.
yep.
You know.
You know what? It's fine. Just sort of like backs away from you and goes back to the seat.
Kind of like a look at Arya and just kind of raise
Look.
an eyebrow.
I mean,
like,
I mean, I guess Elizabeth would turn to Lady Othel and say, do you know her, my lady?
Leothel sort of like looks over and just sort of says, perhaps I may have seen her before. She doesn't ring a bell.
Fair enough.
Okay. You
You should just keep an eye on her.
step out the doors, get back in the carriage, and yeah, head home. Fairly uneventful first bodyguard mission.
Oh, that's the best kind of bodyguard mission.
Yeah, nothing happens.
Don't have to do anything, still get paid.
still suspicious, mildly, but
Yeah.
Okay, so the rest of the day, you basically are at the call of Lady Othell. You keep an eye, like patrol around the house, make sure nothing's going on, and the rest of the day is fairly quiet. The evening comes, you guys are given a meal, and yeah, it comes to the end of the day, and yeah, you are basically free to depart.
Wow.
I think before they go, Elizabeth will again sort of talk to the lady and say, my lady, I do have a ability to to create a alarm on a door or in an area that would rouse me should something happen in the night. Would you like me to do that? And if so, do you have somewhere in mind?
She puts down the book that she's reading and sort of says, "That's a generous offer, but I already have people who can do that."
Let's just bow her head and say, "Very well. I will not bother you with this again."
Okay. Cool. I presume you go back to tavern.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So, as you step into the tavern, again, as it's fairly late at night, there's not very many people here. There's even less than there were last night. But you all notice as you step into the tavern, there's a woman at the bar who is deeply engrossed in reading a book. And as sort of like the tavern door opens and the cold air sort of like spills in, she looks up from the book and turns to see all of you come in. And like as you guys are sort of walking in, she regards you out the corner of her eye for a moment before closing the book and walking over to where you guys are, like as you're walking towards the stairs, and says, "Excuse me."
Yes.
This is going to seem a bit strange. You're the Amber Eagle, aren't you?
That's us.
I thought as much. Forgive me. Where are my manners? My name is Illyria. I'm somewhat of a... how best to put this? I'm a historical researcher of a sort.
Elizabeth's eyes just light up, and she's just like, "Yeah, go on."
It's sort of a bit of an odd one. I'm more interested in sort of modern history, if that makes sense. I'm sort of writing a book about the notable things that have happened in the more recent parts of the Second Age. Please excuse me if this is a bit forward, but I've heard of you guys and your actions.
Oh my god. Are we...
Okay, Elizabeth at this point is turning to Grim and looking at him with just like, "Please let me tell the story."
Well, let's see. Let's hear what she has to say first.
Basically, I've heard of you and your adventures, and well, I think some of them are notable enough to warrant putting down in my book. When I heard you were in town, I will admit I was kind of hoping I would run into you, and when I was asking if anyone had seen you, the bartender said that you were staying here, and well, I was kind of hoping to get a couple of questions answered.
Well,
Elizabeth again like turns to Grim and it's just,
depending on how, like, what the questions are, we might be able to answer them. Some things we might have to wait with, because some things are still ongoing, of course, but
I suppose
other
my
things.
first question is it true that you really travelled to the Shadowfell?
Well, some of it did. I don't remember, like, how...
Yes. Yes.
How-
Ooh. I did not. Grim did not. And yeah, Elizabeth starts telling the story as if
Okay.
she was there, which she wasn't, but she's heard the story enough.
Okay.
Well, she at least lists who did go.
Okay. So you begin listing the facts that you know, and Illyria sort of pulls out like a thick tome from a book from a pouch that she has at her side, like a sort of a messenger bag, and starts like writing things down. The rest of you just sort of like hanging around awkwardly while this happens.
I mean, I guess so. I don't really know what else to do.
Well,
Well,
you could go upstairs and go to bed, is kind of what I mean.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Like,
I guess
does
it
the
was.
whole group want to sit here and feed this woman information?
I feel like I
Yeah.
have to at least supervise.
What?
I don't want you
just-
to give away, like, our secrets.
It's just two historians. But yeah, that's probably fair.
Okay, so Grim and Elizabeth, you sort of like sitting in the tavern while this conversation happens. The rest of you go upstairs. Illyria sort of like she asks questions, primarily around the things that you did in your adventures to the Shadowfell and what happened in Mardan.
So, primarily questions about the thing where the two people that are sitting there weren't actually.
Yep.
Well-
Was there for Mardan at least?
Yeah,
I guess.
yeah,
that's
you were there for Mardan.
Yeah.
But like, Elizabeth
Although-
probably asked Von Dahl so many questions that
Yeah.
she probably knows most of his experiences by heart.
I guess the thing is about Mardan, we have to be a little more careful because we did promise not to say too much.
Yeah.
But I think instead of not telling her anything, we just like give her the heads up that it's not
Well,
supposed to.
Elizabeth has probably not been told the bits that you were not supposed to tell.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Oh, it's easy. It's easy mode having Elizabeth here.
So yeah, this continues on for quite some time until a rather beleaguered-looking bartender comes over and says, "I'm really sorry to interrupt, but I'm kind of trying to close up."
Oh, sorry. Yes. I do have a tendency to ramble. I'm a bit of an enthusiast.
Illyria sort of like looks a little disappointed. It's like, "Oh, but there's so much more I have to ask."
Well, there's always tomorrow, and I will happily keep talking. But we are on duty tomorrow, unfortunately.
Well, maybe we
Much as
could
I'd love to spend the whole day talking,
take this upstairs.
I'd be happy with that.
The bartender's like,
I think we're best off leaving this to tomorrow because we're gonna need to stay sharp for now. And, besides, like, it's not like one day is not gonna make the difference. Although,
Illyria
might
looks
order
crestfallen.
insight. like I will like try and check it, like, cause like I feel like I just want to make sure that she's actually interested in the Amber Eagle and not has a doesn't seem to have a subplot or plan.
Sure, make me an insight check.
I feel like should be a little wary.
Okay.
Or well, 50.
So, her enthusiasm for the Amber Eagle is genuine. Yeah, like as you're like sort of observing the conversation that that Elizabeth and Arya are having, Illyria takes notes with the same vigor that Elizabeth does when you talk about anything. It definitely seems to be a like the history of the Amber Eagle seems to be a matter of passion for this person, as much as you can say that.
We're gonna have our biggest fan.
I can't believe we have a fangirl.
Damn.
All we had to do was write history. Well,
All we had to do was change history. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. She seems like genuinely passionate.
okay.
But Elizabeth's just like looking at Illyria's face and then turns to Grim. It's like, I mean, come on, I'll still be perfectly fine tomorrow. 1 more hour.
But you're not the only one that will be affected by this. Like, points over to the part.
I mean, if you take it upstairs, it's not my problem.
Yeah.
Look, it's like you're not gonna be done in an hour, and neither are you. So, if just agree upon tomorrow, and like like you'll be here tomorrow, right? Or you'll be available tomorrow.
Who you're asking this to Illyria?
Yeah. I'm asking that to our fan.
I could definitely make time.
Because then we should, well, unless something extremely weird happens, we should be able to meet up again. I guess we might as well ask her. What is your name?
She told you, Illyria.
Oh,
Wait, no.
Larry, I've already forgot.
Yeah.
God, Grim.
I literally said it as well. Anyway. Yeah, Elizabeth will turn to Illyria and just like, oh, you should totally let me read it at some point. I'm really interested already.
Shh. Her expression, like, she doesn't so much blush as she just sort of like freezes up momentarily and just sort of says, "Oh, I've never let anyone read it before."
Oh, yeah, I'm just a bit of a historian myself, you see. And like just to show, it's probably bring out the big book that she's been writing,
Yep.
which is much older history, but still exists.
Oh wow, that's a big book.
Yeah, I've been writing it since I started my education, so that's quite some time ago.
Okay,
What, maybe 10 years?
I guess you could read mine. I'm gonna need to make some edits first.
That's very much understandable. I have yet to edit most of what I started writing here because I wrote a lot of it while I was very, very young. And most of it is just blatantly copied from other books. So I can't do that.
Yeah. I guess I'll see you tomorrow.
I look forward to it.
Okay. And yeah, she departs.
Once she's left the door, Elizabeth's like, she's lovely.
She is. Oh, let's not get started from what we're currently doing. And off to bed you go. Oh, and well, I'll just remind you of your ward alarm.
Oh, yes, thank you. And yeah, I will. Assuming they are in their room
Yep.
safely, I will cast alarm on
Okay.
the door of Kelariis and his room.
So, you go ahead, cast the spell.
Yep. Anyone other than us touching the door triggers it.
Okay. So, you get another night's sleep, and go out to another day's work. For the sake of brevity, the second day is relatively uneventful. Lady Othell does not leave the house. And you spend most of the day sort of just wandering around the house, being generally kind of bored.
I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I've got Minor Illusion to play with.
Minor.
Yeah.
For like 12 hours.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sorry. Do you think Elizabeth isn't like thoroughly amused by just making little visual things happen in her?
Well,
Like she'll happily just make little figures do weird shit all day,
Yep. Okay.
just in her hand.
like, well, if we are just like on regular guard duty, basically,
Mhm.
Elizabeth,
Oh,
you might
yeah.
wanna at some point, use that detect magic just to scan over stuff,
Oh, yes, of course.
and if you notice anything out of the ordinary, well, be sure to tell us.
Tell you what, I'll do it now. And yeah, she'll patrol the house for 10 minutes, detecting any magic in the area.
Sure. You won't cover. You'll cover like a. You probably cover most of the, because Othell Manor is not huge. I'd say
Yeah.
you probably could cover most of it in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's bits that are off limits that you can't go into.
Oh, yeah, obviously.
But sure, give me an investigation check.
I'm
Okay.
loving that plus 10.
So, as you go around investigating the Othell Manor, you run into several instances of magic. Notably, a number of dressers and side cabinets in the house are wooded with I don't know that it tells you what the specific spell is.
I'll have a look.
I think it's just a school of magic.
You actually see a faint aura around Blair's magic. You learn it's School of Magic. Yeah, it's
okay.
just the School of Magic.
So there's a number of cabinets and drawers and things that are wooded with abjuration magic.
Standard.
There are two. Hang on, I need to look up a spell. Is it that one? Okay, so there are two doorways in the house that resonate specifically with abjuration and conjuration magic simultaneously. Okay, yeah, I guess with that as well, there are a number of items in Lady Othell's art gallery that resonate with magic. Most of them with a light enchantment magic. One of which, one is a painting that resonates with illusion magic, which, as you stare at the painting, it becomes immediately obvious as a figure inside the canvas animates and crosses the canvas.
Ooh. That's cool.
And the final one is... it's a bit odd. There is an amulet in a display case in, basically that has pride of place in Lady Othell's collection. The case itself is warded with abjuration magic, but from inside, the amulet itself seems to resonate a kind of magic as well. Give me an Arcana check.
Arcana. All the plus 10s.
Okay. So, at first, this thing appears to At first, this thing seems to resonate with some sort of magical aura, until you realise that it's the aura that it's resonating doesn't make a lot of sense, because it's almost like it's absorbing ambient magic from the case warding and your detect magic. And it's almost like it's fragments of your magical aura are being sort of like pinged back at you as you look at this thing. Rather than seeing like a solid outline on this thing, you're seeing like almost like looking at static on a television. And the magic on this is old. To the point where you don't know what this is supposed to be.
I should not let my curiosity get the better of me here.
Or should you?
Oh, that's the question.
That's the real question. What would you do? Like, it's not like you can get in there.
I mean, Elizabeth would leave it alone. She'd
Okay.
be like, "That's unusual," but she wouldn't be trying to poke. Or at least not right now.
Okay. So you leave it alone.
But I'll just take note that it's weird. But I'm assuming most of the magic I'm picking up is stuff that's supposed to be there, like there for security.
Yeah, most of it seems logical. With the exception of the weird amulet. And some of the painting, some of the art pieces that have enchantments on them. But you assume that's because they are, like, low-level magic items, so to speak.
Yeah, fair enough. Cool, that was a successful
Okay.
detection of magic patrol.
So you return to Grim.
Yeah. I should just say, nothing out of the ordinary.
Well, that is probably for the best.
Yeah, the only magic I could pick up is stuff that's likely there for security. You know, wards on doors and boxes and whatnot.
Yeah. Well, that's. I guess that is. I guess that is better than having nothing.
Now that you brought
Although-
that up, I'll see if I can do that a bit more often.
Well. No, no. Yes, just just do that. I'll talk about it once we get off duty.
Elizabeth will give a little salute.
Okay. So, anybody else want to do anything during the span of the day?
It is so tempting to enter one of the forbidden zones, but I feel like I am not capable.
Of all the people who should be trying to, it's probably not Grim.
No, it's definitely not Grim.
Oh no, I'm not even
No.
gonna try.
To be honest, I don't think any of us should try.
Not yet.
Not without some
I think
serious magic help.
I think the most that I will do, besides generally like obviously keeping an eye out for things, but like listening for things that might be said in passing that's particularly interesting, is like just talking to the people who work here generally, because I'm sure that we see other people like,
Sure.
that are part of a staff.
Oh, wait.
So, go ahead and roll me... I never know what to use in this kind of situation, but I guess it's persuasion?
Okay. Yeah, like I guess trying to get like I'll roll persuasion. But
Yeah.
it's just kind of trying to get a feel for
Yeah,
what's up, if anything
it's what
up.
you pick up from your social exchanges
Yeah.
during your work hours. Okay.
Not the worst.
So, you have one interesting conversation during the day where basically you are taking a short break in one of the downstairs rooms when basically another like a set of house guards sort of come in. And they sort of like they acknowledge you briefly before like getting back to their conversation, and one of them sort of like turns to the other one and says, "No. From what I heard, from what I heard, the bank started it." To the other one says, "But why would the bank steal from themselves? Doesn't make any sense." To which the guy sort of says, "Yeah, but I know a guy who works for the Dorrits, and the Dorrits say that when they were broken into, that was before the banks had even been broken into. I reckon they did it as a trick to get people to think that they weren't in on it." No, that's absolutely ridiculous. And they sort of like this conversation like goes back and forth for a little bit, and they sort of turn to you and say, "What do you think?"
Real quick question on a character: did we know about banks being broken into? Am I just
Yes.
forgetting that?
Banks,
Yes.
Rita, and Dorrit were all the houses that were broken into.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
sorry,
yeah.
I understood that as like
Yeah.
Like a bank.
institution that is a bank, and I was like, wait, hold on, I
Um,
don't remember this.
You're not incorrect in both of those assumptions.
Oh,
Because-
the banks is run banks.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
How
that makes sense.
how
I was writing this
inventive.
down as like, okay.
It's almost as if they're the Banks family because they run
'Cause they-
banks.
Did
yeah,
they
okay.
invent banks?
No, but they run banks.
So wait, were the banks the last ones to be broken into?
Yes.
I guess oh, okay. I mean, it's plausible. It's a good enough way to throw off suspicion, but there are better ways, I would think. What makes you so sure that that's what they're trying to do? What do they have to throw off suspicion for?
Dunno. It's just one of those things, isn't it? Sort of. Noble folk, they have their own affairs. They get involved. They jump into bed with one another. They argue. They fight over things. It strikes me as a little bit of breaking and entering is I don't know, some sort of revenge for something maybe. The other one,
Just two other houses?
yeah, the other one says, "Yeah, that's my thoughts exactly. Why do this? It's clearly somebody outside of this whole thing."
I mean, if that's the case, then... Well, if it's somebody outside, what do they want from all the families, and... Why did they target who they targeted?
They sort of like think among themselves for a moment, and sort of says, "Well, maybe it's somebody who doesn't know what they're looking for."
Hmm.
Maybe they're just breaking into them at random.
Hoping to get lucky.
Or maybe they're looking for something, but they just don't know who has it.
Right.
The other one just sort of like goes, "Oh, I guess that kind of makes sense." But then why kill a guy? Sort of like the other one turns and says, "Yeah, but we don't know those are related. People just think that's related."
And usually you kill somebody to keep them quiet,
Ah.
but what about? Maybe he knew something. Maybe the family knew something.
I don't know. I heard he was stabbed by a noble, though.
Oh?
Yeah. In the church it happened, apparently. Don't know why they haven't caught the guy.
Could be a lot of reasons.
Or maybe they did. And they haven't let him go, because he's too dangerous or something.
You think that that a noble would be kept locked up that long without any word getting out?
Don't know, maybe he's from out of town. Well, if I was a betting man, and, well, I am a betting man, but if I was a more opportune betting man, I would say it's probably some outsider come in, wants to get his hands dirty in the local business, and somebody finds out what he's up to. So they have to kill him. When they kill him, they're all of a sudden going crazy looking for something, anything to get their hands on, and then they scupper. That's just my guess.
Yeah. Just, you know what? If you hear anything, maybe let me know, and I'll let you know if I hear anything. It's an interesting mystery, isn't it?
Yeah, I like a mystery.
Yeah. It's good fun. Well, as much fun as it can be.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose you have to be a little respectful. The man is dead after all.
Yeah. Of course.
I did hear he was into some shady stuff, though. That Smallbrook kid.
Yeah, any idea what?
Yeah. Well, apparently he, a couple of people used to, hang out with him. Used to, disappear off at night. Don't know where he went. But, that's what I've heard anyways.
No word of who he was hanging out with?
No. All of his friends seem to keep quiet about it if it was anything important.
Seemed like his family knew, or just him?
No, I think it was just him. I mean, nobles, they get up to all sorts of stuff.
Right.
I mean, most of us go out for fun, we have a few drinks, we get a bit mardy. Nobles, they're on a whole different level. But this one, I think, maybe I'm guessing a bit much, but I don't know, just doesn't sit right with me.
The murder or something else?
Yeah, the whole thing of it. It's just, if he really was wrapped up in something, going off at night, sneaking around, maybe he gets cold feet. Maybe that's why somebody comes after him.
Can't let secrets getting out once you decide you're not in on it.
Precisely. So maybe there's somebody out there who's, I don't know, looking to steal something, and they're using the nobles to maybe sniff each other out, see who's got it.
You know, that is not the worst theory that I have heard.
That's not saying much. I've heard some pretty poor theories.
Yeah, some of them are pretty bad. I don't know. Might be onto something. Who knows?
I tell you one good one I heard. Somebody I know said he were killed by a dead man. A dead man come back to life and gone into the walked straight into the chapel and killed him.
Straight.
Gone straight in chapel.
Straight
I
in
bloody
front.
run him through, so he did.
Shut up! None of you bastards is here.
You've gone right northern, there you have.
Yep. It's a fucking curse, I tell you that much.
Fucking hell.
I think like when
Oh, hey, man.
when that guard says that, Kelariis like leans in and just says, you know, I've seen some pretty weird things, so maybe it's not completely out of the question. But what do I know? I'm a mercenary. Well, a little bit more than that.
Simple mercy.
Yeah. They sort of
don't
like,
lie.
they look concerned at each other for a moment, just sort of go, I thought the dead couldn't go in churches.
Depends.
You're just freaking out a couple of
Depends on
cards
the
now.
The conversation just ends at that point.
Yeah, it's fine.
They're just like slightly worried now.
They're just like, oh, you could go in churches.
Like, why is that the thing that doesn't make any sense?
I love how I imagine now they just like once they leave the room, one of them's the other's just like, I thought we need to rethink our zombie survival plan, mate.
Well, actually, I will say, as a paladin who has the ability to detect consecrated ground, there is some consecrated ground that keeps out undead.
Right, but it's not like just churches. It's not like any old church. It's like, all right, no dead in here, or undead, I guess.
Yes. Yeah, specific areas can be consecrated. Although
No dead or undead.
a large temple to or a large cathedral to Palor, you wouldn't be surprised if some of that was
That I guess that is fair.
sanctified.
That's okay. I just want to mess with them a little bit.
Yeah. I'm
You've
just
definitely messed with them.
I'm just making you aware that in character that is something that you would be aware of. That is an
Yeah,
actual.
yeah.
It's an actual game mechanic. So.
Right, yeah. That, yeah.
But yeah, so you have that conversation.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Not yet.
No. Okay, so I guess you head back to the tavern after a. I want to say hard day's work, but for you guys, it's not really hard at all.
I mean, that was pretty easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty chill. This is like basically work vacation for us right now.
Yeah.
Which, like, knock on wood, you know, sure that'll change, but
So, you get back to the tavern late at night again, open the door, similarly empty in here, but there is one person who is sitting on a stool very expectantly awaiting your return.
Yeah, Victoria's just like very quickly walked and sits straight down next to her and goes,
You mean Elizabeth?
yeah, Elizabeth, sorry. Yeah, Elizabeth just goes straight over and sits next to her.
I'm sure Victoria is very excited as well, but...
Yeah, what is my brain doing? Anyway. Yeah, Elizabeth goes straight over and just sits next to Illyria and goes, why did we leave off? I've already forgotten.
Okay. You resume your conversation.
Yeah.
Are the rest of you joining in, or just...
Yeah, I'm just gonna let that happen.
Let the
probably,
history
like, hang
nerds
out
be
for a
history
little bit.
nerds.
and then go up.
Okay.
You know?
Just let the nerds be nerds.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
So, once again, it starts to get late. It's just the two of you sat in this bar at the end point, just sort of like still going over history and stuff. And like for the last sort of maybe hour or so, like you've been less talking about the history and more talking about like sort of like the adventures that you've had. When you mentioned the sort of like the encounters with the Dread Legion and the cult of Tharizdun, she sort of like sits there like wide-eyed for like a good portion of your discussion. She's just like, wow, didn't know those sort of things were real.
Yeah, you like hear those bard's tales and you think, God, that can't actually happen.
But it's all real?
I mean, like I said, I haven't experienced a lot of this, but you're inclined to believe a wise and old dwarf when he tells the.
Wow.
he doesn't lie about anything else. And he's not one to brag, so it's not like he'd exaggerate details.
You're like a wizard, right? Like you could do stuff.
Wizard!
I can, I just, I'm a more recent addition.
Man, I'd love to see what you can do. I kind of tried to learn a bit of magic myself, but I'm not so good at it. I got a couple of things.
I mean, it's all about practice. You've just got to keep practicing. Like, I know I only look young, but I started very early. I think I must have been 12, 13 when I first started trying to learn magic.
Wow.
But I suppose when you've got, my family were able to afford it. I know a lot of people aren't as fortunate.
Yeah, a lot of mine just comes from reading old scrolls and things and seeing what
I imagine
happens.
that's a little harder.
Yeah. Yeah, you could say that.
But if you keep at it, you'll get there eventually. It's practice that matters.
Do you think you could show me some things?
I certainly could try.
The bartender who's like just kind of looking exasperated at you at this point is just like, can you not do that in here?
I'm not gonna do anything destructive.
Okay,
I have
because
plenty of magic that will not cause damage.
we've had wizards in here before.
Elizabeth will place one hand over her heart and raise the other open palm towards her and say, "I swear to you, this magic will be in no way destructive to your lovely establishment."
Hilaria just sort of giggles.
And then, just for, I'm going to sleep soon anyway, just for a bit of a laugh, I will actually cast Mage Armor on Illyria,
Okay.
since that has a bit of all the components.
Sort of like watches and like it descends over and she's like, whoa. That is so cool.
Yeah.
You're amazing.
This
Okay,
girl is like just hardcore fangirling.
Yeah, now Elizabeth is definitely blushing, and she's like, I mean, I wouldn't go that far.
No, but you are though. I mean, we're both sort of, we both like history, but you've actually like lived it. At least bits of it. And you've met legends. Well, maybe legends is a bit far, but
Maybe one day, hey? I mean, they're legends if you go to certain places.
she just sort of like holds her hands up and just says, well, I mean, I've basically just met you guys, and that's already kind of crazy. Oh, you said you wanted to see my book. I don't know how comfortable I am showing people, but maybe in private?
Oh no.
I can't decide if I'm like concerned or think that this is just like. Oh,
I'm
I-
definitely
Elizabeth-
concerned.
I'm concerned, but
Elizabeth just sort of looks confused for a moment and says, if you like.
God, this girl's gonna fucking kill you.
Okay, she just sort of like looks around and says, I don't really have anywhere around here, so
I mean, I have my own room in the tavern.
would that be okay?
She just sort of shrugs and says, I've got no problem with it, and it's my room.
Lead on.
And yeah, she will do exactly that.
Okay.
Yeah, all of her paper and books are strewn all over the table.
She like gets to the door of your room and just sort of stops and is like, is this really okay?
She's like, once again, she does that sort of hand on heart, hand open. It's like, yes.
Okay then, just sort of steps inside.
Excuse the mess. I don't.
That's okay. I'm the same. Just sort of like looks around and is like, I feel like we actually have a lot in common.
It definitely seems that way. Even though we met like what, yesterday?
She just sort of like sits down on the bed and sort of like pats next to her.
I mean, like if you wanted to, like I know I've got lots of other, I've got stuff as well. If like while you were reading, you wanted to read something of mine,
Sure.
like just say not just like sitting there worrying.
That'd be cool, I guess.
And yeah, I guess there's a swapping of books.
Okay. You exchange books. You start reading.
Oh my god.
It's quite clearly been selectively edited over the last couple of hours.
Yeah.
Like there's clearly evidence that like a lot of pages have just not been torn out, but have been carefully removed.
Yeah.
But this definitely looks like a notebook rather than a final draft.
Yeah. Well, Elizabeth did the same, except with literally no editing, which is meant to be obvious at the start, where she was writing it as a teenager.
Yeah.
As there's a lot of personal opinions and her just literally swearing at people she doesn't like.
Yeah. So you cast like a cursory glance over this book, and from an educated standpoint, it's not the best. It would definitely suffice as a recent history. It's not academically noted. There's very little citation. It's kind of a mess, honestly.
Yeah.
But it is impassioned. It is a chronicling of recent history, and there is a lot dedicated to you. Well, not you, but the group.
Yeah.
You sort of
Because we have been very active.
yeah. A lot of it seems to be very freshly penned.
Yeah.
You get to the end of the paragraph and you just sort of look up and she's just sort of sitting there, like, with the book in her lap. Like, she hasn't even opened the book and she's just watching you read.
Are you okay?
Yeah, it's just watching you take in information it's kind of hypnotic.
I don't see how. I'm not particularly fascinating when I'm just sitting quiet.
She just like points at you. It's like, it's your eyes.
What about them?
Well, just the way they go from one side to the other, and you can see how involved you are in it.
You have quite the eye for details.
Yeah. Well, there's quite a lot to take in.
I'm not sure how I feel about this now. Oh god. I mean, Elizabeth's probably just sitting, just like, she's probably not able to read the book anymore. She's just sat there like, embarrassed, giggling. Just like, because she doesn't know what to do in this situation.
Yeah,
Like,
there's
she hasn't had much company outside of her family and this mercenary company. And like getting compliments from family is a very different thing.
Yeah, the two of you just sort of like nervously like giggle for a moment. I guess like the next process is just sort of like with the two of you sat sort of next to each other. She sort of like leans into your ear. And she pauses for a moment, and you can sort of like hear her like breathing like softly next to you, and she just sort of says, I'm really glad to have met you. It's ever since I heard about you, I've wanted to meet you in person.
I'm assuming you mean the group.
And you.
Me? But I've not really done anything yet. I've basically just helped build the place and done one relatively minor mission compared to a lot of this.
Let's just say, when I heard there was not just a capable wizard, but a clever historian who was travelling with these people, I thought that you'd be, well, you'd be perfect for what I need.
Oh dear.
Well,
I guess
She's
Elizabeth looks a
definitely
little
gonna
bit.
kill you.
Yeah, Elizabeth looks a little bit taken aback. It's like, what do you mean?
Oh. Information.
Can I roll it? Sorry, you somehow made that sound really sinister.
Stop posting memes in chat.
Fun fact, I didn't actually notice you guys while chatting. And
She sort of looks at you for a moment and just says, no. My curiosity isn't just from a historical standpoint. Like you said, the bard stories and all that. I just find getting involved in those stories is just so much more exciting, you know?
Is this girl about to steal your face? Like what? What's going on?
I am so confused.
there's so much right now. Like,
Yeah, there is a lot happening.
I can tell I'm really not conveying my point very well.
Yeah, she's just like, I don't think I've ever had a way with words either, so I can kind of sympathize there. She sort of says, I've definitely offended more than one tutor.
Yeah, I'm the same. it's late. I probably should go.
Oh, okay. And I'll give her a book back.
Okay.
And she'll sort of say, I can tell you care about what you write.
Thanks.
Just little tip. Make sure you always write down where you got things from. Like, I don't know if you have written it down elsewhere and it's just not in here, but you should probably remember. I don't want to seem like I'm like, I don't want to patronize you.
Oh, that's not a bad idea. Thank you.
Yeah. It's usually common to, say where you got things from. Because a lot of books obviously use previous books as their main source of information, because it's an easy way to get it if it exists.
I hadn't thought of it like that. Thank you.
Yeah, you don't. If you have like, what you've managed to do, finding us and asking questions is very much your own work. You can take full credit for that. But if you're basing a lot of stuff off another person's book, which I kind of have to, a lot of my stuff's way too old, then you need to make sure you credit them as well. You don't want to go stealing other people's work. And a lot of the time, if it may help people in the future, if, say, your work chronicles sources that no longer exist. It's a thing I come across looking at all this stuff, where sometimes you find a book that's citing a source that doesn't exist anymore.
You sure know a lot about this, huh?
You kind of have to know a lot if you want to impress a family who doesn't think you should be doing this in the first place. My family's always been more martially minded. It took a lot of persuading to get them to agree to let me do this. But I'm happy they did. And they've been nothing but supportive since.
You wanna know a secret?
I will... Sure.
She leans into you again and just sort of says, I think you'd make a cute soldier. And with that, she gives you a rather odd kiss.
Okay, Elizabeth's just in awe right now. She can't say anything.
It's kind of uncomfortable because she kind of like misses the side of your face and like gets your ear. And then sort of like stands up and just goes, yeah, okay, I'm gonna go. And without further ado, she leaves.
Elizabeth's just sort of taking a moment. She's like, did that just happen?
Yeah. Sort of like touch your slightly wet ear.
Ew.
Eh,
That's still really gross.
Yep.
that's not the worst thing.
Oh.
Make me a perception check.
Me?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, me. In the other room.
Yeah.
Feeling
Yeah.
the force being disturbed.
Hey!
Oh my god.
Okay.
That one.
Cool.
Just nothing.
Cool. Nothing.
I would like the audience to know that during that entire conversation, Minnie, Jayla,
Yeah.
and I were sitting in chat.
Those three have been at it in Discord. Just
Yeah.
going
We've been
crazy.
trying to decide
The
if
whole
this chick-
time. Trying to
this
decide
chick
if
was
this
gonna
is good,
kill her.
bad. Is this gonna end in fucking, or is this gonna end in murder?
Yeah.
Okay. So
that was
you go to
fun.
sleep.
Probably after about an hour of lying awake, staring at the ceiling, trying to figure
Yeah.
out what just happened.
I'm still not entirely convinced she's not evil.
There's a lot there.
There was a lot of things that happened in that conversation that were just like, excuse.
It's like I cannot tell if that's just being really awkward and bad at wording things, or if there's just like some shit going on.
Yeah. Cause like, geez, that very well could just be someone with anxiety.
Well, like, I did kind of check them last time, and
Yeah,
they
that's-
seem nice.
That's either social anxiety or insane acting skills.
Hmm.
Also, insight, having like +7 to insight is unfortunately useless if in character you don't actually suspect anything.
Yeah.
Which Elizabeth is just like, I mean, she seems nice enough.
So, you go to sleep. You wake up the next morning, and sort of like as you're like waking up and getting up, you notice there's the tiniest bit of blood on your pillow.
Oh my god,
Oh.
she's a vampire.
Yo!
Oh my god.
Jayla called that!
I like that that's the first conclusion you jump to.
I guess on instinct, ear.
Yeah, you sort of like thumb your ear, and like there is like a tiny like little scab on your ear.
I knew this was way too ominous to
Oh,
just be a
God.
normal flirt.
Oh god.
This is why you never invite strange people into your room at night.
I mean, Elizabeth just sort of. I mean, God.
I mean, I guess to be fair, we could be completely wrong and all just yelling, but you know.
It's all just a coincidence.
I mean, she did try to kiss you and basically like bash her face into your face. Like accidents happen.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a bleeding ear.
Yeah, my spidey senses are tingling all over the place.
It's not always tingling earlier.
What?
Wow!
Wow.
Wow!
Yeah, it didn't tingle with that pitfall trap.
Oh,
That's
damn.
not what I meant at all.
Okay.
Anyway.
I know. I'm trying to, you know,
God.
whatever.
It's like a year-old callback.
Yeah.
Yep. Callbacks
So,
to a year ago. I guess. No, I know what Elizabeth's first instinct here is to do. And that is to send a message.
okay.
I imagine it's safe to say I'm familiar with her.
Okay, yeah.
So yeah, I want to send her a little message with sending.
Okay, what do you say?
I mean, the person just knows it's me from the spell, don't they? Yeah, it recognizes you as the
Yeah.
sender if it knows you. So yeah, she literally just. Yeah, Elizabeth's literally gonna say, "Did last night actually happen, or did I dream that?"
That's all you're saying?
Yeah.
Not my ear is bleeding. What the fuck did you do?
Okay. The response comes back. I don't know what you think happened. We had a moment. That was all.
What the fuck?
Can I discern anything from that?
Make me an insight check, I guess.
No, I can't.
Oh my god.
She
that's a
she
4 on the
possibly
dice,
interpreted that as did we have sex?
Well,
Oh.
Honestly, fair enough.
Oh god. Yeah, just probably gonna have to leave it at that. I don't want to waste all my spell slots sending messages to her.
Don't wanna waste your credit texting your new girlfriend.
Wow. Wow.
Are we calling them girlfriends? I mean, she's being pretty
It's been
chill this
It's
morning.
been 2 days.
Anyway,
It's been 2 days, and she like iced you this morning, so I don't know about that.
But anyway, we've got a job to do.
yeah, sort of like shake yourself down.
Yeah.
So now all of a
So,
sudden
like-
the job is important.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, she'll like just sort of dab at Arya with the sleeve.
It's not bleeding now.
Yeah. Just as long as there's not blood on it, like she's like, okay, cool.
It's like scabbed over.
Not gonna speak of it again.
Okay. So the rest of you meet up and head over.
Yep.
Okay. So, yeah, you arrive at Othell Manor, and as you are entering Othell Manor, you basically come. You walk in back in the back through the servants' entrance or staff entrance, and immediately come across what appears to be a large gathering of almost all of the personnel, the armed personnel that operate in the house, headed up by the man in the waistcoat that you met on your first that Kelariis and the others met on the first day. They turn to you. They all have very serious looks on their faces, and and the man in the waistcoat says, "Good. I'm glad we're all here."
Has something happened?
There was a break-in last night. Somehow, they managed to evade all of our defences and make it into the art gallery and steal something very important.
What is it that was taken?
An amulet.
Mm,
Ah, fuck.
One of particularly high value and importance to the lady of the house. I'm here to determine if anyone has noticed anything out of the ordinary in the last couple of days.
Hmm. Wait, wasn't it protected by like a magic seal?
You sort of speak up about that. He's to sort of this. The room was protected by a number of magical effects. Somehow they bypassed all of them.
I'm curious.
And there's no trace of any of them being disarmed or any trace of anything.
He sort of says, well, a number of them were disarmed, some of them were avoided entirely, and nobody on Night Watch saw anything.
Like, first thing we have to do is, well, if the quicker we try and figure out where they went, the better the odds of retrieving it. Should probably have a look. Unless there's anything else that's sharing.
Sort of, the rest of the stuff, like, the rest of the staff is sort of like regarding you guys at this point, and he just sort of says, Nothing save the fact that the only notable difference between the last time somebody attempted to break into this place and this one is the addition of your company.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we were off duty. Well, I guess we should get up there and figure out what happened.
The guy in the waistcoat sort of regards you for a moment and sort of says, if you can use your abilities to determine who did this, then do so. But I must warn you, the way things stand do not
Yeah,
look
suspect.
favourably on you. I wouldn't say suspects at this point, but your arrival has been highlighted as a change in circumstances.
No, that makes sense. Well, I guess we better get to it, shall we?
Before you do, be warned of one thing.
Yes.
Nobody can know about this. No guard, nothing. No one outside of this room is to know of what has happened here.
That is fairly standard.
Understood.
Not even the guard.
Not even the guard. He sort of pulls from an inside pocket a piece of paper and sort of says, "This was left in the place of the amulet," and unfolds a piece of parchment that, in a heavy chicken scratch hand, writes in block capital letters, "Tell no one of this or your secret is forfeit." It's a hand that looks familiar to all of you.
Yeah, huh?
Yeah. Ooh.
And on
I
that
guess-
bombshell,
Fuck.
or do you have something to say first before we
Oh,
end?
I was just gonna say what secret, but I don't think they're gonna answer. So.
No. Well,
Yeah.
on that bombshell, I think we will end our session for the week.
Oh my god, what a weird session.
What a weird session.
I'm gonna make
Oh.
a note in my thing that says, "Whoever did this is a bitch." What a bitch! Just fuck
What
you.
a fucking ass.
Yeah. What an asshole.
Okay.
I'm gonna write it down.
Wow. Anyone have any comments about that session?
Oh my god.
Oh.
I still think
Elizabeth
that
is
chick.
incredibly flustered and incredibly confused.
Yeah, I don't
Like-
trust that chick as far as I can throw her. Actually, I trust her less than I can throw her.
Yeah, I was gonna say you might be able to throw her pretty
Probably throw
far
her pretty far.
Well, out of
because
like,
you're quite strong.
out of character, I'm suspicious, but in character, she's fine.
Well, yeah, I mean, Arya has no idea. That's why I couldn't
Yeah.
ask anything or do.
Like,
Yeah, and who's gonna notice a tiny scab on the ear?
well, even then, like, would you ask someone, how did you get that tiny scab on your ear? It's like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
probably just scratched their ear.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh well, it's fine.
I don't
Yeah, I
know.
guess
I don't like how consistently she was like, we could like take this like somewhere private. I was like, okay, that's like
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's sketchy.
that was the reason why I initially was like, I should probably incite this,
Yeah.
but then no.
I just don't know what to think of that whole scenario.
I
I
mean,
have
I'm
been
pretty
caught
sure-
entirely off guard by all of that.
Oh,
And so was Elizabeth.
honestly, we didn't make it any easier for you.
Yeah, that was like straight on the back foot. Like, whoa! Stuff happened.
Whoa.
Like, stuff's happening. Why would anyone be interested in Elizabeth? She's done literally nothing all her life. She's just lived in her house and then joined a mercenary company. That's it.
It's just like a little too convenient that all of a sudden this chick appears out of nowhere, who just happens to be like in the same vein as Elizabeth. The only one of us who is like slightly untested. Suspicious.
Suspicious.
Also, I'm always suspicious when random characters just start flirting. I'm just like, right.
Yeah, we know you are because of what happened in that tiny little town full of old people and that one historian.
Yep.
Like, come on, it's not like Ferrous is unknown for throwing like flirty historians at us.
Yep.
He's done it
God, I
once
have a
before.
type, don't I?
God, yeah.
Wow.
No, Rob has a type.
There you go. So there you go. Any flirty girls into guys who are into history, just hit Ferrous up. He'd love to chat.
Wow.
This can never go horribly
Moving
wrong.
swiftly onwards.
I mean, it was quite funny to watch you flirt with Elizabeth. That
Yeah,
was
everyone's flirting with Elizabeth.
What do you mean everyone? One person.
2 people.
Oh, yeah.
Wink.
Vinny, no!
Yeah, please don't win. No winking.
I don't like this.
The winking makes it weird.
It does make it weird.
That was the point.
Don't wink.
God
Don't,
damn it, Vinny.
no.
Anyways.
Don't wink at the disaster lesbian. It's a bad idea.
Otherwise, yeah. The mystery, I don't feel like we're a whole lot closer.
No.
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 Like, kind of the one thing I was a little worried for was kind of happened. But oh well.
Well, I guess
What's that, then?
we have made some.
Well, the fact that we're not going to be there when they break in,
Ah,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah.
which
Well, there is one thing we've learned, I suppose, and that is that the Othels were in fact not the perpetrators. They were in fact the next target.
That's
Well,
true.
I see. That's why I'm wondering if this thing is even related to all that, because like this seems like coming from whoever is after Kelariis. So they just targeting us to like fuck with us? Like,
Well,
is this the
yeah, they
same
may well be
person?
targeting all sorts of influential and well-known figures.
Well, no, but
for
I'm
various
saying we don't
reasons.
know that we don't know that this is directly connected to all the other stuff.
We do now. We've just seen a fucking note
We
in
don't
exact
know.
written the
I
same
get
way.
What Luka's saying is they could be now messing with House Othell because we are involved with House Othell.
Yeah.
Ah.
Like this
Yeah.
could be totally separate from all the other stuff that's going on.
Okay, yeah, maybe.
This is because we're here.
although
Yeah, maybe, I
admittedly,
suppose.
we came here because we thought it might be related to begin with.
Yeah. There's
Yeah.
a lot that. it could
There's a
be.
lot to
Like,
unpack,
there's a
and
lot
we've not
of-
actually drawn any connections yet. We're just sort of popping up problems left, right, and centre, and we haven't actually connected the dots.
Yeah, and we haven't even gotten a chance to look at the crime scene.
Any of the crime scenes.
Investigation.
I'm good at that, as was proved. I rolled some very good investigation checks. Thank you.
Yes,
plus
you
10.
did.
It's too bad that perception check failed. I really wanted you to get
Yeah.
that perception check.
Yeah.
I love that. It's like that's Elizabeth in a nutshell, though.
Well, like the
It's like
two
really
checks you
smart, really
failed-
smart, really smart. What's that? Nope, completely oblivious. Really smart.
Well, you say that completely oblivious. You have actually decent modifiers, but you just rolled very badly on the exact checks that we were like,
Yeah.
these are kind of need to know.
Yeah. Well, like I said, like really smart, really smart, really smart. Oh, she's oblivious now.
Well,
I
Like,
guess
we all have,
we're
we
gonna
all have
be
those brain
fighting
farm
an
moments.
Elizabeth collab.
What?
Well, I imagine like by one of the fairies I have, they might be able to like use your blood to like fake be you, as in
Yeah.
be
I
fair,
kinda thought
right.
that too.
To be fair,
yeah.
a lot of these things that you guys were suggesting are nowhere near as bad as what my brain did think of at one,
What?
which was, is this Ferrous trying to get revenge for that one campaign where I got him with a succubus?
Wow.
No, I don't think
is,
so.
is this an elaborate setup?
I think there are easier ways. Like,
Yeah, but you know, it's more satisfying revenge if you get them in the exact same way.
Oh, no. But you had to cast charm on me.
Yeah, I did.
yeah,
And to
I
be
did,
fair,
but
we
you're gonna like draw it out and then be like, haha, it turns out this whole time I've got you in the genuine way. And I was like, shit.
this time it's
also we
Kelariis' charm.
did succubus already. It
Yeah.
tried to charm Kelariis, and then Kelariis ran her through with a sword.
Oh yeah. Yeah, good
Fine.
point. Good point. I
well,
forgot about that succubus.
Honestly, I think we'll just keep on rambling about this till the end of time.
Yeah, this is gonna be
But yeah,
Second.
yeah,
so
a moment to remember.
I guess thank you all for playing. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you all next time.
Bye.